Starting in a corner and with a mat lessens the options for the horse because we want the horse to stand still while we see where we are with our horizontal flexion. We start with just milking the rope very gently until the horse yields to the pressure. There, click and treat. You can't hear the clicks, but just before a treat is when the click would have happened. Milking the rope gently. You can see she's very restless with her front feet. She's wondering what we're doing. Click. This clip is 10 minutes taken from a 20-minute session, just experimenting to see where we were at with this sort of work. Milking the rope, click, and treat. Now I'm wanting to treat to keep her head forward, so I've moved my body to give her the treat. Milking the rope. You see there she's moved her hind end, and fortunately the fence stopped her from actually swinging around. And I move again to the front to straighten her head, so I'm feeding to set her up for the next ask, for the next signal to bring her head around. Now on to the next part of the experiment where we go away from the fence. Rather than milking the rope, I'm lifting it as if it's a rein and running my fingers gently up the rope toward the halter. And you can see she's anticipating there, but I don't want to make her feel wrong. So I now have to change my click point. So the click point is for a straight head. She thinks she knows the game, so we have to teach the opposite, which is to get her head straight. Run my hand down the rope, and she's already halfway there, so I took that. Now we've progressed with reins on the sides of the halter rather than attached underneath, and I'm back to clicking and treating for a straight head. I don't want her to think that my hand on the rope or my lifting the rein is a signal. So lift the rope, run my fingers down, ask her to bend round. And I'm clicking and treating for the smallest flexion. Click right there. Her nose is staying nicely perpendicular to the ground. I like to work on something both sides right from the beginning. So now I've gone over to her right eye, and I'm clicking for head straight forward, which is basically the counter teaching to asking for the bend. I don't want her to think that my hand on the rein is a signal that I want her to flex. And a little bit of displacement activity. She's not quite sure what's going on. So she flexed toward the handle as soon as I put my hand down the rope on that side. She was there right away, and now she's presuming that that's what we're going to do. She's a very presumptuous sort of a horse. She loves to be right. She loves to be in charge. So if she thinks she knows what's going on, she'll offer it very, very quickly. But it's equally important to get the straight head and the flexion request totally separate in her mind. So a lot of my time I'm spending clicking for straight head. This time I'm asking for flexion away from the handler, which is something we hadn't done before, and that was a really nice response. After this session, I was able to write an individual education program for this horse to teach a soft response to the rein, and for the first few sessions after this one, I was doing exactly this. I wanted her to wait for the signal, so I asked for no flexions at all. I simply got into position, put my hand on the rein, and lifted the rein and asked for head forward, just like that. And it wasn't until we got 10 out of 10 on that that I would plan to go to the next slice, which would be to ask her to flex. Now in this case I should have stopped there for the day, and you'll see why. She's back to presuming, so I'm back to clicking for head straight. And just to mention again that this is an experimental session to see where we're at and what we could do to improve our understanding of what we're doing together. So I did spend quite a bit of time here on head straight, but I wasn't getting 10 out of 10, which is what I would want before I move on to the next slice. Otherwise you get these untidy slices where all sorts of things are happening. Now I've asked her to flex to the other side, and I should have click and treated the moment she actually moved over. For some reason I held on way too long, and I think that burst her little bubble of confidence. So again, waiting for head straight. Almost straight. I'm not being too fussy here. As long as her head is sort of forward, I'm taking that. Lift the rein. She did some pole flexion, vertical flexion there, which is fine. Now I'm going to ask for her to turn her head away from me, and you can see that she's lost her focus. She doesn't know what I want. I should have clicked and treated right at that moment, and I missed the moment, and she gets more confused, and things go from bad to worse. But I don't want to let go on a brace. So I really don't want to let go on the brace. So instead of letting go there, I'm just going to walk back with her and keep the tension on the far side of her halter. I'm not pulling hard, I'm just not releasing. So I'm holding, not pulling, I'm holding. And I'm waiting for her to just give to the pressure there. You see she catches the rope with her lips because she's frustrated and she doesn't know what I want. And I don't want to release right there because then I'd add in putting the rein in her mouth. Finally there, click. So by not stopping earlier, we've now created this little dilemma. And because she offered turning away so nicely there, I just accepted it, even though it was probably a bit premature. Lift the rein, bring her face toward me. That was nice. Click and treat. Lift the rein. And that was very nice, and I should have stopped that time. And then I wouldn't have had the little episode we have next. Lift the rein. Bring her face toward me. That was nice and soft. Click and treat. Could have stopped there as well. But being only human, I didn't stop there. And she thought, well, I know what's happening. We're going to do one side and then the other side. And she'd already done it. So by that time, she'd already done it, and now I've really confused her. And I should have clicked and treated her when she went back to that small response, but I was too slow, and now I've got her confused again, and we don't want to put nibbling the rein into our slice. We want to keep the slice tidy. So again, I'm forced to walk back with her and just keep the hold on there. There. If I didn't have the fence behind me, it would have been pretty much a lost cause, and I would have had to reset somewhere else. Lift the rein, run down on the far side, ask her to flex away from me. Ask her to flex away from me. She's still confused, so I'm still going with her again as before. Now what's happening now, she's probably thinking that this backing up business is part of what I want. So that's going to be something I have to extinguish again. So I'm running my hand very softly down there. She's pawing the mat. She's not sure. She's not sure. She says, do I have to walk backwards first, or can I just turn my head away and click? That time I managed to catch the right moment. So that's the sort of trouble we can get into when we don't capture the right moment and we suddenly get all funny things happening. She showed me there that she's got the idea. So that's very, very positive. And again, just being human, I want to see if it's really true. She's offering the turn away, but I ask for the turn to me. And she does that. click and treat without having to get off. She turns her head forward, which is really good. Now she's offered the turn away, and I take it, and that's the end of our session. This was an exploratory session to see where we were at. From what I learned during this session, I'm able to write an individual education program for this horse to improve her soft yield to rope or rein pressure. For the next few sessions, we worked only on keeping the head straight when I touched or lifted up the rein. To keep it interesting, we played with it in a variety of different locations.